Hello students, welcome back to my channel Learn Biology by Pravina. It's me Praveen Lakshmi. So today in this video we'll be learning a new chapter, that is molecular basis of inheritance. So before start with this chapter, I'm going to ask you a question, that is, what is the length of DNA in human? So student, those who know the answer, kindly answer your in the comment section. So those who are answering the first in the comment section, those names I'm going to take in my next video. Okay students, so I repeat my question. So what is the length of the DNA in human? Right, so today we'll start with a new chapter, that is molecular basis of inheritance. This is the most requested video from my students. So for them I have made this video. So let us start with the chapter. So here a small introduction about the DNA. What actually is DNA? So DNA is nothing but it is a nucleic acid. Okay, that is nucleic acid are the building blocks of the gene, right, or the genetic material. So here in many of the organism, the DNA is actually acting as a what genetic material. If you talk about human beings, so what is the genetic material of the human being? That is DNA. So already we know, we have from 10th standard, 11th standard, all this we have learned. What about RNA? RNA is a genetic material in case of some of the viruses, right? Like tobacco mosaic virus and so many viruses we have learned. So where RNA is acting as a genetic material. But what is the major function of RNA here is actually it act as a messengers. Okay, so now let us spend some time to understand the structure of DNA. So DNA here is a polynucleotides are made up of polymers of nucleotides. Now what is polynucleotide? Poly in the sense many, and nucleotide. So polynucleotide, it's made up of what? Composition of many nucleotides, right? So DNA and RNA are actually what? Polynucleotides. Now when we are just looking into the structure of a single nucleotides, this nucleotides actually consist of three components. So what are they? So they are nitrogenous base, pentose sugar, and a phosphate group. A single nucleotide is basically made up of three components here, that is nitrogenous base, pentose sugar, and that is phosphate group. So you can see the structure here. So that is DNA, or you can say the nucleotide is basically consist of what? Pentose sugar. So here you can see in the diagram, so it is made up of this is the pentose sugar here, and this one is the nitrogenous base, and this is the phosphate group. So this all three components or constitute what? A single nucleotide. The similar way, when these nucleotides are joined together, right, so one nucleotide when joined with the other nucleotide, then it forms dinucleotide. The similar way, when many nucleotides are joined together, then we call it as polynucleotides. So hope you understand what is a polynucleotide, student. So now let us discuss about the nitrogenous base, right? So nitrogenous base, actually nitrogenous base is basically constitutes of two components, that is purine and pyrimidines. And purines are made up of adenine, guanine, and pyrimidines is made up of cytosine, thymine, and uracil. Now the difference here is, in case of DNA, there will be a presence of thymine. The similar way, in case of RNA, instead of thymine you will be having uracil. So this is the difference in case of RNA and DNA. So nitrogenous base is basically constitutes of what? Purine, pyrimidines, where purine is made up of adenine and guanine, and pyrimidines is made up of cytosine, thymine, and uracil. And one thing that you have to remember here is, in case of DNA it constitutes thymine, and in case of RNA it constitutes what? That is uracil, right? So here this is what is given here, that is thymine, that is 5-methyl uracil present only in DNA, and uracil in case of RNA. So now talking about this nitrogenous base compound, nitrogenous base is linked to the pentose sugar, right? As I said, nucleotide is a constituents of nitrogenous base, pentose sugar and phosphate group. So how this nitrogenous base is linked with the pentose sugar is through N-glycosidic linkage. Please students, you have to remember here, so that the nitrogenous base is linked with what? The sugar component with the help of what? Nitrogen, that is N-glycosidic linkage. Right, so this is the pentose sugar that is linked with the nitrogenous base by what? N-glycosidic bond. Right, and the similar way here you can see this pentose sugar is combined with the phosphate group. Okay, as a result of, you will be getting deoxyribonucleotide. Now, in case of RNA, each nucleotide additional OH group at 2 position of ribose 2 and OH. So, new 2 nucleotides are linked through 3-5-phosphodiester bond to form dinucleotide. So, here one thing that you have to remember here is, in case of RNA, in the second position, that there will be presence of OH group. Okay, so now here this is the one nucleotide. So what I already told, that one nucleotide is constitute of what? That is nitrogenous base, phosphate group and one sugar compound. Okay, now this one nucleotide is combined with the other nucleotide with the help of 3-5-phosphodiester bond to form dinucleotides. Okay, so this is one nucleotide and which is combined with the other nucleotide to results in the formation of what? That is dinucleotide with the help of 3-5-phosphodiester bond. So one nucleotide combined with the other nucleotide with the help of phosphodiester bond. So this is how the many nucleotides they are combining and results in the formation of polynucleotide. So we all know that Mendel is the father of genetics. He was the first person who worked on this inheritance, and he gave the concept that something is being transmitting from one generation to the other generation, and he named this as a factor. But he did not say what actually is being transmitting from one generation to the other generation, because lack of so many he was not there, because in those days there was not well equipped microscopes were there, so he was not able to actually find out what is being transmitting from one generation to the other generation. But later on, several scientists, like in the year 1869, that is Friedrich Miescher, okay, he identified DNA and named it as nuclein. Right, so he just when he was experimenting, he just found out something is seen inside the cell that is being transmitting from one generation to the other generation, and he named that structure as nuclein. Then James Watson and Francis Crick, he proposed the double helix model of DNA. Right, so it was based on the X-ray diffraction data produced by Mercy Wilkins and Rosalind Franklin. So students, this scientist name and the year is very important. Whenever you're just learning biology, you always have a separate note and you write down all the name of this scientist and also with the year and what was their invention. Because in many of the NEET exams or even in the board exams now since new pattern of question paper has come, so many 1 marks question will be asked. So this scientist name and their invention and the year will be sometime they may ask. So whenever you are coming across with this concept, so you have a separate note and write down all the names of the scientists, the year and their invention. Now coming to the point, so let us discuss about the structure of DNA. So which was proposed by Watson and Crick. So here, as I said, it is a polynucleotide chain coiled in a right-handed fashion. So DNA here, it is a polynucleotide chain which is coiled in a right-handed fashion. Okay, so here the pith of the helix is around 3.4 or 34 Armstrong. So what do you mean by the pith here? So here you can see, so the pith of the DNA, right? So this one. So the pith of the DNA, suppose this is the one helix, right? So we call here, that is this is the major groove and this one is the minor groove, right? So when you are calculating, this constitute what, one helix, and what is the distance there? That is 3.4 nanometer, or we can say 34 Armstrong. Then the number of base pair in each turn, right? Suppose this is the one turn, and here how many base pairs are there? Almost 10 base pairs. So we have 10 base pair in each helix, right? Now the distance between this base pair is around 0.34 nanometer or 34 Armstrong. So here you can see, so the distance between the each base pair is around how much? That is around 0.34 nanometer, right? So here the backbone of the DNA forms sugar and the phosphate. So what do you mean by the backbone here? So suppose this is the two strand of DNA, right? So now here the backbone, so this backbone is actually made up of what? Sugar and as well as phosphate group. Now where is the base here? So base is project inside, right? So base is project inside. So the similar way the DNA molecule is being formed. Now, the two chain have anti-parallel polarity. Now, what do you mean by anti-parallel polarity? You can see here in one chain you have 5-N and here you have 3-N. What about the opposite chain? You have here 3-N and here you have 5-N. So, here they are anti-parallel. Got it? So, the DNA chains have a anti-parallel polarity. That is, one chain has the polarity of 5-3- and the other has 3-5-. Now talking about the base pair, right? So the base pair are present. So I already told that how the base pair is projected. It is projected inside. So the base pair in two strands are paired through hydrogen bonds. So how these base pairs are being formed or joined together? By hydrogen bonds. So here adenine pair with thymine by 2 hydrogen bond and cytosine pair with guanine by 3 hydrogen bonds. So one thing that always you have to remember, adenine will always pair with what? Thymine, and cytosine will always pair with guanine. So adenine pair with thymine by 2 hydrogen bond and cytosine pair with guanine by 3 hydrogen bond. So here purine comes opposite to the pyrimidine. So this generates uniform distance between the two strands. Now here Erwin Chargaff's rule. So here we are going to learn another rule that is given by Erwin Chargaff's rule. So according to the base pair, that is, as I said, adenine pair with thymine and guanine pair with cytosine by triple bond and adenine pair with thymine by double bond. So depending upon this, the Erwin Chargaff gave a rule. So according to him, in DNA, the proportion of A is equal to T. So whenever you take a DNA, right? So here, so the number of adenine will be equal to what? T, because A is always equal to T, right? The similar way G is equal to C. So therefore, how we can write it? So the adenine plus guanine is equal to thymine plus cytosine, or we can write it in this manner, that is A plus G by T plus C is equal to 1. So this is according to Erwin Chargaff's rule. Now let us see now the number of nucleotide in present in different organism. Suppose we take a bacteria, that is lambda 174 bacteriophage. So it has around 5386 nucleotides. The similar way, bacteriophage lambda has around 48502 base pair. In case of E. coli, it has around 4.6 into 10 to the power 6 base pair, and in case of human, it is around 3.3 into 10 to the power 9 base pair in haploid condition. What about in diploid condition? In diploid condition, it will be around 6.6 into 10 to the power 9 base pair. Okay, students. So this is all about the number of nucleotide present in different organisms. So how can we calculate the length of the DNA? So the length of DNA can be calculated by number of base pair into the distance between two adjacent base pair. Okay, so number of base pairs. So just now I told, in case of human being, how many base pair is present in diploid condition, that is around 6.6 into 10 to the power 9. And what is the distance between the adjacent base pair? That is around 0.34 into 10 to the power 9. So when you multiply both of this, that is 6.6 into 10 to the power 9 into 0.34 into 10 to the power 9, then you will get 2.2 meter of DNA. So in case of human being, the length of DNA here is around 2.2 meter. What about in case of E. coli? Suppose you want to find out the length of the DNA in case of E. coli, then it is around 1.36 nanometer. So the number of base pair here is 1.36 into 10 to the power 3 divided by 0.34 into 10 to the power 9. So you will get 4 into 10 to the power 6 base pair. So this is how we can find out the the number of base pair that is present in case of the E. coli, right? So now the question here is that is DNA. When you're talking about DNA in case of human being is around 2.2 meter. Right now the question comes, right, just imagine the distance. 2.2 meter is, or usually it is a such a huge length, right? So basically where this DNA is present, inside the nucleus, and where the nucleus is present, in the cell, right? So now when you're talking about this cell, you know that cell is such a small, right? We, in order to see the cells, we require microscope. But just imagine the length of the DNA is around here is 2.2 meter. Now the question comes in our mind, how this 2.2 meter of DNA is going to fit inside the such a small nucleus, right? So this is what we are going to discuss in our next class, that is packaging of DNA, how the 2.2 meter of DNA has packed inside the nucleus. So in our next lecture, we will be discussing about the packaging of DNA. So thank you for watching this video. If you have any doubt, you can ask your doubt in the comment section. So, and also don't forget to subscribe and share this video. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you, students.